a different kind of tours every month. We, oh, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, the picture went off here.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, they gave us tours to do, and that was a way of training us, I guess, to learn how to iron, wash dishes, serve food. So, and that was mainly what we were taught, other than arithmetic, reading, and writing.
Okay. Okay. And I know, I mean, you were very young. You were still 5 years old when you left, but do you remember your family being religious before you left for residential schools, or
Yes.
was that something that was introduced to you?
No, it was already right within my family. As much as I know about it, I was told that my family moved to Christianity in 1904. My mom, as a newborn baby, she was born in 1904, and that is the same year that her family turned to Christianity. So
Okay. And that was that Anglican right away, like we are, or was it something else?
I really, I think it was an Anglican already back then.
Okay. And was there, when you were in residential schools, did they do any church or anything like that while you were there?
Yes, they did. They we had we went to the local church in Allard Bay, which was an Anglican church, and we got confirmed in Allard Bay into the Anglican church. The whole school was run by the Anglican church.
And so one of the biggest things is, you know, your separation from your mom and being separated from that mother figure and having somebody to look up to. What was it like in the residential schools with people that you had to look up the authority figures there? Was it always nuns, or who was around a lot that supervised you guys in your chores and the things that you had to do?
There were no nuns or anybody particularly connected to that church except for the principal and the fact that the workers were members of the Anglican church.
Mm-hmm.
But there was, I can remember we had a First Nations woman working there as supervisor, and we took her as our mom.
Mm.
She was from Cape Nuts,
Oh, I see.
and that was kind of, it was okay to have her. She was really a motherly person, so we looked up to her as a mom replacement for the time being.
Mm-hmm. And so she was there for you guys and that motherly person for you. But how was it in the schools the way it was run? I know that you weren't allowed to speak your language. Was it really strict, happened when you spoke your language, or what type of discipline did they use?
Um, for for speaking your language, you got your mouth washed out with soap and water, and if you disobeyed anything they wanted you to do it at the time, you'd get strapped. But we were never, I mean, me anyway, I was never really severely punished because I was one of those scaredy cats, you might say, and I was obedient to everything I was told so that I would not be punished in any way. But in my early years, I had a real difficult time because I didn't know a word of English, and they had to put me in the same classroom as my older sister. And that was in grade 3 and 4. And even though I was lost there, as long as I had my sister beside me, I was okay.
So how did you? I know it really hurts to be taken away from family for that long, and the culture and language that you lost, and it was all for, because like you said, they were supposed to be trying to help in some way, and that they were educating you. How how did you feel about education after you got back?
I didn't care very much to even think of going any further because I knew it was going to cost me another absent period from my mom and the rest of my family, so forget it.
Yeah. Okay. And when you started having children, how old were you when you had your first baby?
16.
16?
Yep.
And what were school systems like when you started having your first kids? Did we have education in the village, or was it still being sent away to different schools?
Up to up to grade 7, they had day schools in a village, and when they went into grade 8, they had to be sent to the lower mainland or in Terrace. Terrace was the closest to us, Terrace and Prince Rupert, so that's where my older children had to go. And then further down as they went up in grade.
Okay. And well, when you got back from residential school, you didn't, like you said, you didn't want to leave family and to go further in your education. When when day schools, when your kids and when they got past day school, was it looked upon, like, did people think it was a really good thing to go away and go complete your school, or was it a big deal to complete it in the next generation?
I think that I really believe that the children appreciated the education that they got whereas for us, there was no kind of funding to help us go any further than what we got. So they did take advantage of the times that they had to go away, and they did what they could, but the time away from home took its toll on the children, and some dropped out and never went back. And I never felt that I should hold it against the children or force them in any way, because I experienced the loss of relationship between family and myself when I had to stay away.
Mhm. I know it's been, no, it's been quite some time, and it is still hard for you to talk about your residential school experience. And I know for a really long time you never really wanted to talk about it. What do you think helped you get to a place where you wanted to talk about it and you wanted people to hear the story of your experiences?
I really decided on talking about my time away from home when my children started going away from home, because I knew what it felt to you're lost and you don't know much of anybody. You're in some place so foreign from your own community. And I felt that we should talk about it, so people got together, and that's how they formed a committee to work toward our own high school, so that our children wouldn't have to leave home just for high school education. And that was well appreciated by the parents of the children who had to go to school. And we still appreciate that today, because our children weren't torn from family as 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds. We were all so very young when they took us away from our families. And at least now the children are mature enough to leave home when they finish their grade 12 up right in our own area.
Mhm. So what do you think? How do you think in different ways, like, the one thing that stood out to me is there that I think about is, you say that you know what it felt like to be ripped from your family and to have to leave to go to school, and when it came to the next generation and they didn't want to leave to go to school, you never wanted to force them, because you knew what that felt like, and you never wanted your children to have to go through that. What do you think? Can you think of any other ways that you think that your experiences in residential school might have, what they use, like a term that we talk about is the ripple effect, how one generation going to residential schools affects other generations as well in different ways,